All right, let's take a look at the flex offense. Now, personally, the flex offense is one of my favorite basketball plays, one of my favorite basketball systems, just because it can include so many options and it also gets our players moving consistently, right? You don't want that initial screen to happen and then you have your flex cut, and that is the only part of the play, right? Usually, with a flex, a play or a flex system, we have lots of moving parts with that flex cut as one of them. All right, so let's take a look at a play here. This is a flex basketball play, and this one is used a lot by a lot of NBA teams, specifically teams like the Golden State Warriors. Okay, so let's take a look at it. So we're going to start here in a 5-out sort of box style where we have two people on one side and two people on the other, a point guard on the top of the floor. So same as we would, with a typical 5-out or something like that. So the first thing we're going to have is number 3 set a down screen here for number 4, right? So number 3 is setting that down screen for number 4. Now, as that is happening, number 4 is coming off the screen, but they're not looking for the basketball. That's just a decoy. Number 4 is coming off that screen, and they're going to then set that flex screen here for number 2. So number 4 is doing that, right? And they're setting that flex screen for number 2. Number 3, after they set that screen, right, they're going to then pop up to the 3-point line, and they're going to be the one to receive the basketball. Okay, so number 2 is then coming off of that screen, right? We have our flex cut right here, and they're going to try to post up and receive the basketball right here. If that doesn't work, okay, if we don't get that first initial look, which most often we're going to get that look, but if it doesn't, we're then going to screen the screener. So we're going to have a stagger screen here. Number 5 sets that screen for number 4. Right, number 1 follows. They're setting another screen. And number 4 is coming off that screen for a 3-point shot. So we have two different options here. We have our flex screen down here, and we have our option to get a 3-point shot above the 3-point line. So multiple different options. Right, it's a great way to use a flex offense. This is an option that I've run with just about every age group, right? So you can do this with older age groups. If you want to give a younger age group a more complicated play, that can work as well. So we're going to have the basketball up here. Number 1 is going to be the point guard in this situation. So we're going to have number 3 as the player participating in our flex cut here. So for this particular option, our first step is that we want to get the ball into number 2 or number 4. So one of these players at the initial one pass away wing. Okay, so they need to find a way to get open. Let's say, maybe they cut in and out of the key or something like that. Which side it goes to, it doesn't really matter too much. But let's say for the sake of this one, we get the ball over there to number 4. Okay, as that is happening, number 5 is going to set a screen for number 1. Okay, so number 1 is coming off of that screen. Remember, number 5 is going to be here setting it. Okay, so when number 1 comes off that screen, they're going to cut to the rim and look for the basketball. And this is just kind of an early option to see if we have it. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. But it is an early option. It's not necessarily our main option. Now, number 5, after they set that screen, they're going to try to get open as best as they can. You kind of just pop up to the 3-point line, be about right here, and receive the basketball. So number 4, if they can't get the ball into number 1 for that early pass, which is, again, not the main pass that we want in this play. We'll show you the main pass in a minute. If they can't get the ball into number 1, they'll reset the ball over to number 5. Now, number 5 would ideally be a post player or, one of your bigger players if you have a passing big or a big who can pass the ball, because we want to bring number 5's player outside of the key a little bit, or number 5's defender rather. So now we're reset. Now what does number 1 do? Now the whole point of that number 1 screen right here is, yes, to see if we can get the ball, but number 1 is actually going to set another screen. So number 1 is going to continue moving over here to where number 3 is, and number 1 is going to set a hard screen here for number 3. So number 3 right now is getting screened on by number 1. Now number 3 is coming off of that screen, and this is where their flex cut happens. So number 3 is then cutting hard to the rim for their flex cut. We're going to try to get the ball into number 3. So between your option there for number 1, who is doing that initial cut, or number 3, who is looking at this flex cut right here, you're going to have 2 easy options around the rim. If they're not wide open options, for example, if this right here is not a wide open option, it's going to be a switch. Right? And you're probably going to get a bit of a mismatch there, which is what we want. So 2 easy options there. Let's kind of go over them again and reset and bring the ball up top here to number 1. So number 1, like I said, is our point guard. Number 5 is our post player. Number 3 is somebody you trust to get down here and post up. What I'll often do is if I'm ever playing two bigs at once, I'll put one of my bigs here, one of my bigs down here, and then that way, we can get somebody in the post that we can trust to make that layup. So let's look at it again, right? Need to get open one of our wings. Ideally, we're going to this side of the floor. As that is happening, number 5 is coming up to set that screen for number 1. Number 1 is coming off that screen. All right, and we're just going to look to see if we can get number 1 the basketball. But if we can't, it's not the end of the world because number 1 is going to continue moving to set a screen here for number 3. Number 3 then is coming off that screen. They're doing their flex cut. We're resetting the basketball as that happens, and then we're looking hard for number 3 under the rim. Now, another great thing about a flex is if number 3 even can't get the basketball, then we can go into more of a 5-out motion offense, right? They can continue then moving, right? Then they're outside of the 3-point line. Again, we had to think right now number 5 would have the basketball. They can easily then just bring a dribble handoff over here or a dribble handoff over here. Then we're into another pick and roll, right? That's how I like to brand things. If this doesn't work, what can number 5 do? Right? Let's go to the opposite side of the floor right now. We're going to bring the basketball over here, right? This is a handoff with a screen, right? Number 2 gets the basketball, right? And number 2 is cutting hard to the basket. There's so many different options now. You're in your 5-out if that doesn't work, right? So, we rave about the 5-out and we love the 5-out, obviously, as coaches. But, we can run a flex offense, and if that doesn't work, then we transition into a 5-out. But this first play is one that I've seen lots of NBA teams use, but I've also used it at the youth level as well and at the high school level, and it's been very, very successful. So another reason why I love the flex offense so much is because you can incorporate other offensive systems or other offensive plays into the flex offense. And for this particular play right now, this particular option, we're going to look at a mix of a horn set and a flex offense. So this is basically like a horn set that you can use, within your flex offense, right? So for this particular play, as we can see, we kind of have our horn set right here, but we're also going to incorporate the flex within that. So to start, we want to have an entry pass into one of our players here at the elbow within the horn set. Now the good thing about this is it can go to either number 5 or number 4, to the left side or the right side. It doesn't really matter too much. We want to get that entry level pass in there. So let's say we get it over to number 5. Then what's going to happen is number 4 is going to come over here and set a screen for number 3, but so is number 1. So number 4 is going over there to set that screen, but number 1 is also going over there to set a screen as well. So right now we have a double screen being set right here for number 3. Now for number 3, right, obviously, we can see right here, this is where our flex is going to happen, right? We're going to have number 1 right here, number 4 right here. They're getting the double screen going. So, we kind of have two options here for our flex. If number 3 is a shooter, for example, you can have number 3 curl to the 3-point line, and we can kick it over to number 3 for either a shot or, maybe they'll drive into the basket. But if they're a shooter in this particular situation, right, we could have number 3 curl, right, and receive that basketball. If number 3 isn't a shooter and you want to continue using, a flex type of system, where you kind of bring them into the post, we can have number 3 come off those screens into the post right here, right, and receive that basketball inside the key, kind of like we did with the other flex option that we looked at earlier. So let's look at this one again. Our point guard is at the top of the key. Our 5 and 4 are lined up in a horns type of set, and our 2 and 3 right now are on the wing. So we're going to feed it into one of our horns players right here at the elbow. Again, we're going to say we get it into number 5. Number 4 is going to go set a screen here for number 3, and so is number 1. We're getting 2 screens here for number 3. I'm going to erase these lines quickly so we can see them. Number 3 is coming off of those screens, right? And they have 2 options, right? Number 3 can either curl to the top of the floor for an easy shot, or number 3 can participate in that flex cut to the basket, right? Easy layup right here every time. Now, again, we talked about another reason why we like the flex is that, we can incorporate other plays within it. right? But again, you look at a potential flex option here, it also preaches ball movement, right? We look at that first easy cut right here, but say that number two's defender has to come in and help onto number three. Maybe we get a double team here, and we might not get that initial layup right when number three has the basketball, but that's fine because then we can swing it over to number two. We can work on ball movement, right? We can then go back into our 5-out. So many different great options here with the flex offense, but this is a great option as well. If you have some players that are familiar with horns, you can kind of mix them together to make a flex horns offensive set.